So let me ask you a question because you asked what's trending and what do I care about, and it might be like, why does he care about this? I am heavily invested, and I don't know how you feel about. So this is brand new territory for us folks.
All right,
I am heavily invested in the Mayweather McGregor fight.
Oh, really?
And I don't know how vegans feel about combat sports.
Well,
combat sports, violence and combat sports.
I've never actually heard it phrased as a combat sport, but it is.
This is the biggest fight in the history of combat sports, they call it, because one is MMA and one is boxing. So I just want to know, what's your stance on boxing and what's your stance on this fight, and do you care? I am heavily invested.
Well,
and I don't get heavily invested in anything.
It's where do I start? First of all, I mean, I was a huge boxing fan. I sort of lost interest after the Don King phase. You know what I mean? And the I was going to say the heavyweights of the game, but those Holyfield and Tyson and going back Sugar Ray Leonard and everyone in between. These were spotlight moments, right? And so I love boxing, and then MMA came along, and this was sort of after that whole people are Don King is messing up the game and everything else. MMA came along and it was raw and it was fresh and it was more direct, and I was like, yeah, beat these people to a pulp. And I sort of left boxing, but then there was a big fight. I can't think of it now, but it was a huge fight, huge boxing. I can't think of who it was, but
Pacquiao Mayweather. I mean, that was the last big one.
Was it that? Yeah, I think that was it. And I was riveted. I remember Tyson fighting that last time, and I loved boxing so much that when he came back, and he's like 94 at the time. Not really, but he's like 94. He hasn't fought in forever, but the mystique of Tyson was so large that everybody, not just me, was like, this is going to be a good fight. Oh, Tyson's going to come back. And all logic went out of our head. Fighters don't do that. Maybe George Foreman gets a lucky little comeback. Great character, George Foreman. But he was way past his prime. It was over. So it wasn't until during the fight and after the fight, you weren't surprised. You were just awoke. You were like, of course. And, it wasn't like, what happened? You were like, what was I thinking? So anyway, lover of a game. I love the commentators. That one guy, he's always...
Because I wasn't sure, because I didn't know if I wanted to bring it up, because I was like, I don't know, as a vegan, does he frown upon violence and not, so I didn't know if it was a bad topic. So I would tell you, we definitely have traveled the similar road. I was a big boxing guy. As soon as MMA came, boxing definitely faded. I was a big Mike Tyson guy.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated, and I've been in and out of MMA. I'm not like, completely there. I don't know all the players, but this matchup is I like again, it always comes back to me is trying to see a different angle, trying to see what other people are not seeing, and seeing a different angle that not everybody's discussing. So I only have two, and one is, if Conor McGregor was to win this fight, and it doesn't matter what the odds, he's going to become a very wealthy man overnight, because he can pretty much dictate both sports, and the payoffs are going to be just off the. He will probably quadruple the worth of Mayweather, which is kind of outstanding. So that's just people that don't talk about that. So if he was to win, it puts him at this weird level. The other thing is, can he win? I really believe that, again, Mayweather is one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive fighter of all time. Mm-hmm. People don't also understand his conditioning is bar none. He fights the same way in the first round as the 12th round, and Conor has a history of gassing. So if he has a way or if Conor doesn't handle this moment properly and shows that what he has shown, that he does gas in big moments, then it's going to be horrible. But at the same time, I love his approach. 4 rounds. I love the sell of the fight. I think everything they're doing is almost perfect. I couldn't. They're doing everything so perfectly. So it is. I'm heavily invested in watching all the fights, all Mayweather's fights, all McGregor's fights, trying to find what the angle is, and I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah. But Mayweather is sort of like the villain, right? Because he's an asshole.
He has, but he's trying to soften himself now in this last fight. He, went through his all access. He's trying to he's with a kid who's dying from leukemia or cancer or something, trying to be more of a family man, just trying to soften himself, and he's sort of letting Conor be the bad guy because Mayweather needs to move on to more promotion, and I think he understands that people really don't like him, and it would be hard for him to keep running his business as a promoter. So if he can win with some, and I'll be careful here because he sounds racist, but if he can be more, be classy and outclass McGregor and come across, he can maybe redefine himself. What were you going to say?
If he not be so ghetto?
No, I just think if someone says that, they're going to say, why is he not classy? I'm just saying he was always the villain. He always had to sell the fight. Yeah. He always had to make himself. He knew what he was doing. I think he's a bit of a phoney. I think there's a guy that, might need some counseling. I'm sure he has tons of issues between how he was raised and stuff. And because there's something wrong with something. They're both obviously there's always something wrong with someone who wants to fight. But I'm just saying Mayweather just seems like he's not being himself, or they're both highly egomaniacal. But again, either way, he needs to redefine himself. I think he's trying. I think he's failing. But it doesn't matter. The fight itself, going back to the fight, I think this could be the real deal, only because Conor McGregor does not fear Mayweather, and he really wants to come out and put on a performance. And I think a lot of these guys in the boxing world, as in like basketball, are very careful about their well-being, which is fine. But I just don't think. I think at Conor's age, he's said a lot of trash. He's got to come. He does come forward. They're both counterpunchers. That could be bad, but I think it's going to be. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited.
I want it to be
since like Hagler Hearns or Hagler Leonard or or Hearns Leonard. That's a long time ago. I mean, people wouldn't even know what we're talking about. That's in the 80s or something. Yeah. So to me, there hasn't been something like this, and it's like something that, if you want to say that something distracts me and keeps me going, and I watch way too much of this shit, man. I watch so much Joe Rogan. I watch so much McGregor clips.
Joe Rogan.
So many
he's
fights.
An ass too, but he's great at commentating.
I there's not many people I idolize. I would love to have Joe Rogan's life, to have a podcast that big, and I'm not
Factor. Yeah, go on.
Well, I mean, no, but his podcast, and he gets to go to these fights and watch it in front row of the fights and announce them, and he does it. I love his commentating.
He's good. He's really a great.
I'm jealous. I'm so jealous of Joe Rogan. He's good at stand-up comedy. He pretty much has what I could see as the perfect life. I just couldn't do. I don't know martial arts like he does. I don't have the brand of comedy he has. I like Joe Rogan a lot.
But his life.
He's a libertarian. He's not an animal lover. So
that
stuff.
Fuck Joe Rogan. But, but
you're gonna get yourself big trouble for saying fuck Joe. That could be the most dangerous thing you said all
FTV.
Podcast.
So his life, not his life, but his level of life is, I don't want to say ideal, because there's so many studies that prove that having wealth isn't the cure of happiness. But I don't want to go down that route.
No, I'm just saying I want his life. I like his life. Like, if you said, who do you want to be? I would say Joe Rogan would be a pretty good life for me.
But see that, but that level,
stand-up comedy, podcast, go to front row seats to the fight, and commentate on the fight. It's a pretty good life.